It's been nearly 19 years since Star Fox 64 was released on the Nintendo 64. I can still remember the feeling of picking up the game for the first time, plugging in my Rumble Pack, and taking flight with Fox and friends on an adventure to save the galaxy. Now, nearly 2 decades later, Star Fox Zero has arrived on the Wii U, and with it, many of the same elements that made Star Fox 64 the classic it is today. Equipped with a brand new dual-screen control system, beautiful high-definition visuals, and paired with the classic formula and charm of its Nintendo 64 predecessor, Star Fox Zero is one of the most memorable and enjoyable entries in the iconic franchise. In the narrative department, Star Fox Zero isn't going to break any new ground. In traditional Star Fox fashion, Andross, the mad scientist and the series' main antagonist, has launched an attack on the peaceful planet of Corneria. Only the ace pilot Fox McCloud alongside mechanical genius Slippy Toad, the hotshot pilot Falco Lombardi, and seasoned pilot and loyal friend Peppy Hare can save the planet from certain destruction. If this story sounds familiar, it's because it is. Star Fox Zero stays incredibly close to the formula from the original Star Fox 64. From the Lilat System Select screen to the spoken dialogue. While it may not be the most original story that Nintendo has ever written, it's still a really nice nostalgia trip that gets the job done in the end. Much like Star Fox 64, the main campaign in Star Fox Zero shouldn't take more than an afternoon to complete. However, multiple playthroughs open up new paths, bosses, and planets to explore that keep the action going for a few more hours. Additional modes, trainings, and challenge missions can also be unlocked by completing the main story mode and collecting in-game trophies from each world. What separates Star Fox Zero from previous entries in the franchise is its radically new control system. While we did get a taste of motion controls in the 2011 remake Star Fox 64 3D, Star Fox Zero takes it a few steps further. Basic controls such as movement, firing, boosting, and barrel rolls remain practically unchanged for more traditional Star Fox titles. But with the gamepad comes the unique cockpit view, which does an outstanding job in adding a new level of depth and precision the franchise has never seen before. Honestly, I'd go as far as to say that the cockpit view is easily the most ambitious use of the gamepad I've seen to date. In Cockpit View, players are invited to get a first-person perspective from inside of an R-Wing, which makes targeting enemies much more accurate compared to the third-person perspective on the TV. Combined with subtle motion controls, Cockpit View is a must if you hope to get anywhere within Star Fox Zero. While the idea of Cockpit View is a lot of fun, it took me a good deal of time to adjust to the constant changing of perspective. It takes time to get in the rhythm and timing every time you have to look on the screen and back to the gamepad, and at some points it became frustrating, but the longer I played the title, the more natural it became. And while it can be argued that you can play through most of the game with the traditional controls, I found that some of the larger enemies and bosses were designed with the added precision of Cockpit View in mind. The motion controls on this title were definitely one of the biggest concerns I had going into my initial playthrough, but luckily I can say that these worries were in vain. Star Fox Zero has a robust and precise control scheme that makes it not just a gimmick, but adds a level of depth and immersion that previous entries just couldn't offer. In the difficulty department, Star Fox Zero isn't the most challenging title the Wii U has to offer. After I mastered the finer points of the new control system, I found myself being able to breeze through each world with little effort. It wasn't until I reached the game's final boss that I felt any real danger from an enemy, which left me wishing the game had more of a consistent increase in difficulty as I progressed. However, after the credits rolled and new modes and challenge missions unlocked, Zero had much more to offer in terms of challenge. Veterans and newcomers of the Star Fox franchise will find something in Zero that appeals to their skill set. Star Fox Zero also introduces 2 new forms of transportation. Alongside the classic R-Wing and Landmaster, Star Fox Zero introduces the Walker, a transformed version of the R-Wing that's capable of ground transportation and precision movement, and the Gyro Wing, a quadcopter-type vehicle equipped with a hacker bot named Direct Eye and is meant to be used for stealth-type situations. While the gyrocopter isn't anything really to write home about, the Walker is an absolute blast to use and makes shifting between air and ground combat seamless and rewarding. For example, you can pilot an R-Wing to destroy the shield of a massive space cruiser, transform into the Walker, walk inside the ship, blow up its core, and transform back into the R-Wing and fly out before it explodes. It's an incredibly rewarding and enjoyable experience. The game also offers a small level of Amiibo support as well. Fox unlocks the retro R-Wing, a ship modeled after the original R-Wing model from Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. When using the retro R-Wing, you're treated to the original Super Nintendo soundtrack and sound effects, which is a nice little bonus. Falco, on the other hand, offers a bit more than just an R-Wing skin. Tapping Falco into the game unlocks the Black R-Wing, a supercharged version of the original R-Wing that allows you to lock onto 2 enemies at once, but all that extra power comes at a cost because you'll be taking 3 times the damage for the luxury. One major omission from Star Fox Zero is the lack of a full-fledged multiplayer or online mode. While the single-player mode is very good, it's extremely disappointing that I'm unable to have dogfights with friends online or join a team for a collaborative space battle. What Star Fox Zero brings to the table instead is a co-op mode that can be played locally. Co-op mode puts one person in the cockpit using the Wii U gamepad, while the second player essentially steers using a Pro controller. Sadly, both parties are essentially piloting the same R-Wing, and there's no option to pilot separate crafts. Don't get me wrong, I did have a good time playing this mode, but it really left me wanting more. And hopefully this is something that can be corrected with either an update or a DLC pack in the future. Star Fox Zero is an absolutely gorgeous title that uses the Wii U to nearly its full potential. While it does take some time to get used to the motion controls, with a bit of patience, it becomes an extremely natural process. Even without a full-fledged multiplayer experience, Star Fox Zero's unlockable modes, challenges, and co-pilot mode will keep you playing even after the final credits roll. Thanks for watching. If you want to see our full written review, you can click on the link in the description down below, or visit us at nintendoinquirer.com.
Do a barrel roll!